Hi, friend. In this episode, we are going to get super practical. I am going to walk you through how I would schedule my time. How would I spend my time? What would I be doing? Down to a level of detail that perhaps you wouldn't find anywhere else on what are the habits to raise more major gifts? How would I spend my time? What would I be doing? Why? And really breaking down not just my overall major gift strategy, but how do I operationalize that to meet goals? So, what does it look like on my calendar? What are my priorities and why is that? So let's jump in. I am recording this. It's October 10th, which is the end of the year, right? And we have about, let's say, a couple months, honestly, of business days left in the year. And let's say that I was looking to raise $500,000 or $1 million in just 6 weeks. Here are the things that I would be doing. Here are the habits and the routines. And the first is that I'm going to be looking at every single donor who gave last year during this time, October through December. And I'm going to be doing some calls. So instead of trying to schedule everything, I'm just going to reach out to people, either schedule it or just call them straight up and try to get them on the phone and make an ask. These are people who have been giving, who I have a relationship with, who I expect will give on an annual basis. Maybe they give twice a year. They give in the spring, they give in the fall. Maybe they are just the most loyal people. Then I would say there's like a 90% plus probability that they will give again. Pretty likely. Good relationship, they believe in the mission, they're bought in, they're loyal, perhaps they've been giving. So I would start there with those folks and ask them to give their best gift. Now, when I ask for their best gift, what I'm asking for is I'm tying it to our organization wide strategic plan. I ask for multi-year pledges every chance that I get connected to the strategic plan of the organization. So let's say that I'm Free Wheelchair Mission. That's one of my clients. Amazing organization. They're in over 90 countries. They manufacture and deliver wheelchairs to people who are immobile and change their life. Let's say that our 3-year strategic plan for Free Wheelchair Mission is to triple the number of wheelchairs that we deliver. And there's not just an impact number associated with that. Triple it, let's say we're doing 5,000 and now we want to serve 15,000 people. There is a fundraising goal associated with serving 15,000 people, right? And that ideally is in the strategic plan. So I would tie the ask. Let's say a donor was giving 50K last year. I would say, hey, Bob. I don't know why it's Bob. Daryl. Hey, Daryl. Last year you gave 50K. We have this really ambitious 3-year strategic plan. We're looking to serve 15,000 people. And you're really been just an amazing, loyal supporter. I know that you give because of XYZ reason. It's personal to Daryl. And for those reasons, I'm asking you to consider giving $100,000 a year for 3 years. That's a $300,000 gift starting this fall. I know you typically give this time of year, something like that. It's connected to the growth and the overall strategic plan of the organization. So it makes sense why I'm asking you to step up and give more. It makes sense why I'm asking you for a 3-year gift. I would do that with my most generous, loyal, mission aligned, values aligned donors. And I would go down the list, and maybe that's 20 people. It's maybe not going to be a lot of people, but your largest, most loyal givers. If they're already in a multi-year pledge and they have been coming to events, or they're really involved, or they're a board member and they're super enthusiastic, whatever it is, I would maybe ask certain people who I think can give more and who are really passionate and committed to give a one-time gift for the end of the year if I thought they could do it and they would do it. It could be 10 grand, it could be $100,000. It could be, hey, I know you have a DAF. Would you consider giving an additional gift above and beyond your regular pledge that you're currently in for the end of the year? Would you consider giving an additional $25,000 from your DAF or whatever it is? I'd ask DAF people for more. That's just a giving account that's sitting there, and that money is directly for charitable giving. Can't be used for anything else. So why not? Then let's say some of those people say, you know, Julie, I can't really give more right now. Can't do it. Okay, no problem. Would you be willing to raise the $100,000? Would you be willing to introduce us to two people in your network who meet the following criteria? And I would spell it out for them. This is a big mistake that I see. People are not specific about who you want them to refer you to. Ideal scenario would be that a donor or a board member or volunteer is introducing you to people who are of course, you don't have to spell it out for them. That would be the ideal scenario, but that's not the case. We need to make it easy here, and they don't know. They don't know unless you tell them. So I'd say, Daryl, we're looking for people like you who are business leaders, they're successful, they're generous, and their mission and values align. They care about this mission. Does anybody like that come to mind? Yeah, probably. I know a couple people. Great. Would you be willing to make a warm introduction? Would you be willing to come set up a meeting for the three of us to meet? Would you be willing to go to those people and ask them, as a board member or as a longtime supporter, would you be willing to approach them and ask them to give for the end of the year? I can give you some talking points if you want. That's the support I'm willing to offer. So I'm doing a few things here. If people can't give, I'm not leaving it there. I'm saying, totally understand, not a problem. Would you be willing to make referrals? Would you be willing to introduce us to people who meet the following criteria? And I spell it out. It isn't just that we want rich people. It's that we want people who are mission and values aligned, who care about this mission, who are generous, and they have something to give. Do you know anybody like that? And then here's the support I'm willing to offer you as you represent the organization, as you make these referrals. I'll send you an email template that you can customize if you want to introduce me that way. I can give you some talking points if you want to talk to them yourself. Maybe they don't need any of that support. That's fine. I would ask for referrals. If someone comes back and I asked him for 100K, I asked him for 300,000 over 3 years, whatever the ask is. 2 weeks later, right? It's the end of October. They come back and they say, yeah, Julie, I can give 300,000. Amazing. I would then ask for a referral. I would say, awesome. Thank you so much. You're absolutely the best. You are making such a big difference. Would you be willing to introduce us to one person who meets the following criteria? Do you see the pattern here? When people are stepping up and they're giving, it's not a time to back down and, oh, well, they're already giving enough, so we need to leave them alone. Wrong. They just gave more, so they're literally more bought in. So I'm not gonna back off. They can always tell me no, and they will. And it's all good. It's not my job to say no for them. Why would I get in my own way of my job? Doesn't make any sense. If people are saying yes to giving, great. would you be willing to make introductions? So I would double down on referrals, and I would be crystal clear about who we're looking for. Who do you want as a donor? And if you don't spell it out for people, they will assume, oh, Julie just wants rich people. No, we don't. We don't. Because not all rich people are generous. And we're looking for people who are generous. We're looking for people who want to be partners with us in this work. So I'd ask for referrals. Then once a week, at least, on Mondays at the top of the day, right? I'm looking at my portfolio, I'm looking at my goals. How am I tracking towards my goal? If my goal is 500,000, how much have I raised towards 500,000? Some of you don't even know that number. You don't even know how far away you are from your goal. I would look at that at the top of every single day. What money has come in? What do I still need to get? And then looking at my list of donors. Who do I need to touch base with? Who do I need to schedule a meeting with? Who do I need to call? Who is giving in October? Who is giving in November? Who is giving in December? Who's giving in January? And then scheduling those calls and those meetings. I would try to get 3 to 5 Zoom or in-person meetings a week, at least. Phone calls also. So it depends on if you like to just time block, and all day Tuesday is a day where you're doing donor outreach and you're calling people. Great. Then maybe you reach out to 12 people in one day. Whatever works for you. For me, if I'm booking hour-long meetings, and that's part of how I want to raise my 500K, because that's the best way for me to do it. That's the way that I'm going to find the most success. If you're really great one-on-one and in person or on Zoom, then prioritize that and schedule 3 to 5 and try to overbook, knowing that at least 1 or 2 of those meetings are going to get rescheduled. They're going to get pushed. People are going to do that. It's the way it is. So overschedule. Another thing that I would do Mondays after I look at my current donors and my portfolio is looking at my pipeline. Who are the donors who maybe gave $50 or $100 or $200 or whatever it is that you consider a mid-level, low-level gift? And is there anyone there? I'm doing a little bit of research. I'm Googling some of those people. If you don't have a research team that's filling your pipeline, then you got to do it yourself. This is what I would do. And looking people up on LinkedIn, looking them up on their company's website, looking them up on social media. Who are these people? Do I think there's potential here? Does this person seem really passionate? Are they a new donor? Is this somebody I could call? It would take 5 minutes and just thank them, right? So some of my time is going towards stewardship, building relationships. It's not an ask. Maybe they just gave in September, or they just gave the first week of October. And as soon as someone gives, I'm picking up the phone and calling them to say thank you within 24 hours. For me, that's a best practice for me. When money comes in or money is on the line, to me, it's urgent. Everything else needs to stop. So that's a rule that I had for myself. Maybe you can't do it within 24 hours, do it within 48. Set up a rule of engagement for yourself that's going to work for you and your working style. Then I'm on Mondays, right? I'm going through my list and I'm looking at who are the people who I've bumped into at church, who I ran into, at a wedding that I went to recently, or that I saw at a conference or an event, or I saw them pop up on LinkedIn, or I recently communicated with them somehow. And they offered some kind of help. They said, Julie, love what you're up to. Let me know how I can help. Or I would love to get more involved. Let me know if you need anything. Reach out, holler if you need me. And writing down the names of those people and setting a task on my calendar. If it's not Monday, then it's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday to reach out to them and take them up on their offer to help. This becomes a practice that I do every Monday. Every Monday, I'm looking at who are the people who have offered me, even if it was a vague offer of help, and how can I take them up on it? Now, here's what I would do. I would repeat back to them what they said. Hey, it was great to run into you at the wedding. Loved catching up. Thanks so much for offering to help. You mentioned that if I needed anything to reach out, and so I'm going to take you up on it. The thing we actually need the most right now is financial support. Would you be willing to set up a 20-minute call and just talk about what we're up to? You seemed really interested, and I'd love to share more and talk about how we might be able to partner together. That is a very simple script. You could rewind this and write it down for yourself and use it. Take people up on their offers to help and schedule it on your calendar as an appointment with yourself that you are going to keep, so that you are reaching out and building your network of supporters, of new people who can come in and support you. Take people up on their vague offers to help and tell them the help that you need. Get real about the help that you need, and people will help you. This is a practice that I would build in regularly, once a week. The other thing is, let's say Tuesdays or Wednesdays are the day where I would follow up with the people who I already asked. So if it's been 7 to 10 business days, that's a great length of time to follow up after an ask. For new asks, if I have a meeting on Tuesday, let's say I have a lunch, then I am right after the meeting sending them an email and essentially summarizing a couple of things that we had talked about. If I ask them for money, I reiterate that in the email. I thank them for their time. I share something personal that I took away from the meeting. Right away, I'm following up and getting it in writing. Week later, 10 days later, I'm calling them. And in the follow-up call, I am reiterating whatever my ask was. Hey, Daryl, it was great to get lunch with you last week. I wanted to follow up about my proposal. What have you decided towards giving $300,000 over 3 years? Stop talking. Let Daryl respond. Getting people on the phone is a better tactic than emailing people, and we have to get used to that. Some people may not be available, and so email is a better option for some people. Maybe they will be responsive, but in terms of closing major gifts, phone is better than email. There's no way around that. In person is better than phone. Zoom is also an option, right? Video calls. But some of you are just like attached to your laptop, and you've got to get better at talking on the phone. You got to get better at reaching out to people and just calling them rather than trying to schedule something on the calendar. Just pick up the phone and call. Build that kind of dynamic with them. And then you've introduced a new way that you have this relationship. Is you're just the kind of friends and the kind of people who you just call each other. I would, if I needed new donors, I would go the referral route. I would ask everyone who's been a loyal supporter to make referrals and spell out the characteristics of who we're looking for, and then offer support in terms of them reaching out, whether that's email templates, language, taking the call with them, whatever it is. I would also look at people who have attended events, who have participated in anything like as a volunteer, and make some calls. I would ask board members for their best gifts. I would ask them for referrals. I would look at people who have liked stuff on social media and try to start DM conversations with them. An option for that is, let's say that you have a presence on LinkedIn and you have someone who has a profile, looks like they could be a supporter, they could be a donor, they could be somebody who would give financially, and they've commented on a post that you did or that your nonprofit did. You could DM them and say, hey, Daryl, thanks so much for commenting on our post recently. I really appreciate your encouragement. How did you find us? And that could be a way that you start the conversation. They're going to say encouraging things like, oh, I saw my buddy, I think is a supporter, is a volunteer, and I saw that he liked one of your stuff and I really was moved by it, and just think what you're doing is amazing. Oh, that's so great. Love it. Would you be willing to hop on a call and learn more about what we're up to and how you could get involved? You could ask for a call. You could just say right there, hey, thanks so much for the support. Check out our campaign that we have running. Or, you could just get to the point sooner because it's the end of the year and you need to raise $500,000. And if someone is already opting in, they're already sending encouraging messages, then there is interest and affinity there. So just get to the point, right? That's what I would do if I needed new donors and I had a goal and I needed to get there. I would just push the pavement and try to connect with as many people as I possibly could. These are just the ways, these are the things that I would do. There's so many ways to do it. I'm not saying that my way is like the best way. I'm saying that this is what I would do. This is what I have done. This is what's worked for me. This is what I teach my clients when it's the right move for them. If you're in a bigger shop and you have pipelines of prospective donors, making phone calls and building relationships is the way. Like, that's amazing. And you likely need to have a strong disqualification process where if you have a big pool of prospects, you've got to churn through those to identify the people who are warm right now. And then the people who need to be put in the back burner, not forever, maybe some of them forever, they're totally disqualified. Maybe they're disqualified for 6 months and you revisit that list. It's not to say you should get rid of people altogether, but right now in October, November, December, who are the people who are engaged, who are warm, and we need to get them over the line to hot so they can give. So it's less about spending a bunch of energy on perfectly cold people who don't know you. They don't know the organization. They've never given, they've never volunteered. They don't know anybody. They don't know the board. They don't know you. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know you from Adam. Those people are cold. If someone donates to your organization, but you've never met them, that is not a cold person. They're new to you, but they're not new to the organization, and you represent the organization. So they're not a cold person at all. They're not cold. So sometimes we kind of have a different mindset around that. Just because they're new to you doesn't mean they're new to the nonprofit. They're not a cold person. You're not cold calling somebody when you're talking to a donor for the first time. That's not a cold call. A cold call is somebody who don't know you even exist. Your nonprofit, you as a human being, they're perfectly cold. So if they've already donated, they ain't cold. You dig? You get it? Okay. And I would, part of why I think my clients raise money and why I raise money is because we follow up with people a lot. Some people don't want to do that. They don't want to follow up a lot. Okay. How's that working for you? Change your mindset about it. If someone told you that they were going to think about it, you asked them for money and they were going to think about it, then you reminding them and following up isn't hounding them. It's not an inconvenience. They told you they were going to think about it. So you need to follow up and close the loop. Like, what did they decide? This is customer service. This is not intrusion, right? So you need to do your work. And part of what makes people successful that I've seen and what makes the success that I've experienced is that I just follow up a lot. If you don't know how to do that, I have a free guide on my website, julieordonez.com. You can download my free donor scripts cheat sheet. It's 24 pages with all different kinds of topics on what to say, how I handle being ghosted, how I handle board members with, quote, lots of ideas. What questions do I ask people to find out if they plan on giving? How do I like to build relationships and get to know people? All of these donor scripts are in there. You need to download that. If you haven't already, go to my website and get it. It's free and it's really good. So asking for referrals, asking people for their best gift, and tying it to my strategic plan. The other piece is on my calendar, you're not going to see a lot of internal meetings. And this is a big one for you because some of you have internal meetings where you're just meeting with direct reports once a week. You're meet for an hour each, and you got 4 or 5 direct reports. Some of you are doing all of these internal strategy meetings or program meetings or marketing meetings, or you're planning your digital campaign, you're planning your next event. And some of you have got to get this stuff off of your calendar. Here is your North Star. Whatever your fundraising goal is, if it's 500K, if it's 2 million, whatever it is, the North Star is it going to help me raise 500 million? 500 million, 500,000. If not, if it doesn't directly impact my ability to raise 500,000 in the next 6 weeks, then I'm not doing it. And it is my job to advocate for my calendar. It's my job to advocate for what I know needs to happen to reach my goals. No one else is responsible but me for how I spend my time and what I'm doing to reach my goals. No one else understands that except me to the extent that I understand it. So if your boss or your board or whatever is trying to give you extra projects and they're going to take away from meeting with donors, from following up with donors, from preparing for donor meetings and thinking and planning and researching, and those are the things that have got to be on your calendar as appointments with yourself, even the time to research, to plan, to think. If it's going to take away from that, and it's not absolutely necessary for you to reach your fundraising goal, then it's got to go. Maybe not forever, but temporarily. It either needs to be eliminated or renegotiated. It needs to change. So if there are meetings that you've got to get off your calendar, you got to just tell people, look, I'm laser focused on 500K the next 6 weeks. I'm not going to be able to join this meeting. Thanks so much. Some of you have to get better at directives and letting people know rather than asking if it's okay. Sometimes it's appropriate to ask, hey, is it okay if I miss this? Sometimes it's letting people know, hey, I'm not going to be able to prioritize these meetings for the next 6 weeks. I've got to have my head down to get this goal. And asking for help. This is the help that I need from you. Can you handle it for the rest of the year without me? I trust you. Saying to your direct reports, hey, instead of meeting once a week for an hour, we're going to meet twice a month for an hour. And in between, if you need something, reach out. If it's urgent, I'm here for you. But I believe in you and you're empowered. You got this. Now, there are some things you can't delegate. There are some things you can't eliminate. And that's the way it is. But you absolutely can't stop fundraising. So, you have to be judicious about what your North Star is and what is really going to help you get there and what isn't, and have some clear conversations around that. This is something that I had to do. I would go to my boss. Hey, look, we got a meeting every week. And then we got this team department meeting. And then we got and I'm not going to go to those. I got to raise $2 million in 3 months. I'm not available. I got to get the money. You did? I got to get the money. So laser focused, and the North Star is the goal. Connecting with as many donors as I can sustainably, knowing that meetings are going to get canceled and rescheduled. And I'm asking for referrals every chance I get. I am doing both asks and stewardship. I'm not letting stewardship fall by the wayside. I am putting blocks on my calendar and I'm not accepting meeting requests. Set your own rules for how you will engage your calendar. Are you just not going to take any internal meetings Tuesdays and Wednesdays? Are those your, head down days? That's not unreasonable, because that means you're having internal meetings Monday, Thursday, Friday. I used to do planning when I was a major gifts officer, planning everything on Monday, prioritizing my week, scheduling calls, asking for meetings. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was out. I was meeting with people. This was before COVID. Meetings, breakfast meeting, lunch meeting, coffee meeting, happy hour, dinner, any combination of those things. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Conference, networking event. I was getting a lot of meetings. I think I averaged 5 a week throughout the year. That's a lot of meetings. They were usually one-on-one. I was asking for major gifts. Some of the meetings were stewardship. And then Fridays was like acknowledgement day. It was like all day following up with anything that I needed to follow up with, writing thank you notes and getting them all done for all the meetings I had Tuesday through Thursday, sending handwritten thank you notes, thanking people for their time, and then looking at my week ahead, doing, any internal administrative stuff that I needed to do. Now, for a lot of you, you're an executive director, you're a development director, you have managerial things, you have operations things. You can't, that's not really realistic for your schedule. If you're a major gifts officer, that's what worked for me. But you can still add in elements of that. And at the top of every single workday, I'm looking at my portfolio, I'm looking at my goals, and I'm looking at what money has come in and what money needs to come in. What's the next step for these donors? Who do I need to follow up with to close the gift? And then putting those tasks on my calendar. Okay, these are the 5 people I need to follow up with this week. These are the 5 people I need to follow up with next week. And the week after that, I got 10 people I got to follow up with. whatever it is. But at the top of every day, if my goal is $500,000 raised, every single day, I know how short I am to the goal because I'm looking at my numbers. I'm looking at my donors. I'm looking at my CRM. I'm looking at what money is coming in, and I'm thanking people as I go. I'm stewarding people along the way. It's not all asking, and it's not all stewarding, and it's not all new donors. It's a blend. It has to be. It has to be. And then there's just things that I would get rid of. I would stop doing because it's not going to serve me. And I would have direct conversations with people about renegotiating that and making requests for what I need. Hey, can I please be excused from this project? I would make time whenever you know you have the most creative energy, if that's mid morning, if it's late afternoon, if it's the evening, if whatever it is, it's all good. That's when you should write emails, ask for meetings, and schedule the emails to go out at 8 a.m. the next morning, updating the CRM with your notes, working on proposals and any sort of copywriting that I'm doing, looking at my strategy and reassessing, okay, so this donor told me they would think about it. So now the probability might be 80%. So I'm going to adjust that in Salesforce or whatever CRM you're using. If you're using a spreadsheet, great. But I'm mapping out what is my path to 500,000, and I'm making time for thinking, for planning, for writing. Some of us don't have any time to think, to reflect. That's gotta change, my friend. That ain't working. What is your time to think? Maybe it's after your lunch, you have 15 minutes, 20 minutes where you go for a little walk, and that's your thinking time. Doesn't that sound great? That sounds great. And being strategic and planful, being able to prepare. We've got to have time to prepare. So that's about it. That's how I would look at my calendar. That's how I would spend my time. That's how I would organize and prioritize what I'm doing. I hope that this is encouraging to you. I hope that you will pick up the phone. I hope that you know that you bring so much value to people's lives, and that being in a relationship with you is a gift. That giving is a gift to the giver, that there are plenty of people who are willing to help you. You just need to ask and invite and be clear. And you have what it takes. You have what it takes to go, to learn, to try, to fail, to go again, and to ask for more. You can do this. I will see you next time. Thanks so much.